official can you sound and can you get? We will call to order the Town of Lake Lure Marine Commission regular meeting Tuesday, March the 8th at 4 p.m. Are there any additions, or amendments to the agenda?
None for myself.
I have none.
If not, do I hear a move to approve the agenda as written?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the agenda as posted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then the agenda stands as written, adopted as written. We will now move to our public comment section. Is there anyone who would like to go to the podium and have a public comment? In that case, we will move to new business. The first item of new business is an additional livery boat. Dean, are you going to take time for us?
I get 3 minutes.
And I have my phone set too.
Oh, wait, yours your 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
You're an agenda item. You can speak at the pleasure of the mayor.
Oh, all right.
I'll be here all day.
In this case, chairman.
I'll be here all week.
That's right. You can have as much time as you want.
This is Carolina Properties, which is the real estate place just right up the road, right before the post office. They've been in the commercial model for several years. They have a boat that they trailer and leave in their parking lot. They will deliver it to the homes. They do some vacation rental homes. They're in charge of them. And they deliver these boats around the lake to be used as such manner. This year, they were approved for one boat when they applied originally, but they decided to buy a second boat and get 2 boats in the model.
Okay.
Well, they applied late for the second boat, and the model for livery classification is full. You guys gave me the authority that if we have room in the model, that I can approve that. Well, this one here's hitting against the governor of that line item of the model. There is room to be able to move vacation rental boat hours over to livery if you so choose to allow this boat to come on. But this is simply a request from Carolina Properties to have an additional livery boat with their business.
Okay. Any questions?
Chairman, may I
for
ask
me?
a question?
Yes.
I had the opportunity yesterday to go to the Lake Advisory Board, and during that time, it was opportune for me to relook at code, and on the lake use regulations and the charts that show what can be done and what can't be done, on livery, class 1, it says lodging restrictions, and then it says no lodging amenities allowed for this commercial category. So can you in fact have a livery and be a vacation rental or lodging facility?
Well, a vacation rental boat is, just a couple years ago, they split the model up and they created a category to say vacation rental boats.
Right.
And livery boats would be for companies that operate from a commercial address that gives them the right to operate livery, which is long-term and short-term rentals at the same time.
So is it actually classified livery or classified vacation rental?
The boat that they're asking for is classified as livery. It has an L on it, and that allows them to deliver boats to vacation rentals or to rent short or long-term.
Okay.
If it's a vacation rental property, they can only rent their boat with their house for the people who are renting the house.
Right, so,
Okay.
so it sounds like we may need to change this chart, because it says, for livery, it says no lodging amenities allowed for this commercial category.
Okay,
Anyway,
yeah, well,
I
that's,
think it could be a clerical error, but.
right, well, that's something that we're going through in the Lake Advisory Board, and that'll be something that, there's a lot of things in there that we're gonna run across that's been changed or no longer is or whatever. It's like we're still seeing real estate stuff in there, and real estate has been taken out
Right.
for quite a few years.
Okay. Anyway, that was just my question.
Okay.
Dean, I have one question on this one. They trailer theirs in, I think they keep them in the parking lot
They
over
do.
there, and then they trailer it in. So the commercial property is in fact the Memorial Highway address where Carolina Properties is.
Yes, sir.
And so they meet the intent of, pretty sensitive to this, because we've, holding a hard line on commercial property. So that's a commercial property. When they need that particular boat, they trailer it in, and it's a commercial, or it's a livery, sticker, livery classification.
Correct. And the only time that you won't see it up in their parking lot is if, number one, what they've stated in their letter is they want it for vacation rental homes.
Yeah,
So it may sit on the lake for a week, but it will be at a home that it is rented to.
yeah,
And if it is not in use, it'll be on a trailer in their parking lot.
yeah. It may be worth revisiting, though, that if there's a question on the Marine Commission, for the new members on the issue that we had with commercial rentals and what we did to fix the problem. Are you good with all that?
Yeah, I understand it
Oh, it's-
completely.
okay, okay,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, I understand it completely.
Okay.
Question I had is this, they're just asking this for this year only, right? Just to do it this time?
No, it's probably gonna be each year.
Let me back up. They want to do this now for this year so they can get their livery.
Correct.
And when next year's season comes along, they will ask for two
Right.
and try to get in early because they were late this time, right?
Well, yes, but by adding, if I move the boat hours, then their boat will fit in next year's model.
So the next question is, how many of these VR permits, you have 13 left, I believe is what this said? Do you fill those every year? Do we eat those? We would have 14 if we didn't do this.
Yeah, each year I have vacation rental boats
Left over?
Yes. And that's not to say, if economy starts going
change.
good and things keep building or people
Right.
keep trying to find other ways, it's eventually gonna run out
Right.
too. But we're still operating within the 30% capacity of the model. We're just moving some boats around so that we
Yeah,
can
we're
allow.
not adding boats at all, we're just moving the model.
Right.
So did have a question where they said he says in his email, due to occasional minor repairs last year, we found that having a second boat is essential.
Yeah.
Which, those of us that have owned boats, love to have a backup, because the
Yes.
other one typically is gonna break. So, when he says that in this, is that meaning he just wants that other boat to sit there as a backup, or are we gonna put two boats on the lake for rental?
He told me that he's wanting it on the lake, but when one goes down, he's still making money. It's like with one boat,
I understand.
instead,
Okay.
with two.
Okay,
It's like, we had another gentleman on the lake, this past year that owns a livery company, and he had boats that broke down and was asking me, could he rent a boat from a dealer and bring in and use that permit, and that's prohibited.
right.
It has to be that registration and what's registered
Yeah.
with the town.
Yeah,
So he was just kinda out of commission.
That's fine.
yeah.
It's just kind of the way that he said this here
Yeah.
was, because I'm thinking to myself, he's not gonna buy a boat to sit as a backup.
No, I
He's
think,
gonna want,
I think what he's doing is giving all the reasons
Right.
why he would like to have that boat,
Totally agree.
opposed
Yep.
to just one.
totally fine.
Any other questions for Dean?
No, I think the only thing, as long as he already has his $1 million commercial liability insurance too, so.
They seem like they're very, they pay attention to all the rules, they seem to be very, looking at everything, making sure their tenants understand how to use the boat.
Yeah. If I were to have any problems out of them on the lake or something, I would be telling you that, I've had repeated history, but there's none with them.
Right, and I know Dave just made a great point. That VR could change as
Right.
time goes forward, we might need an extra one, but this is a commercial business, this is a business that we wanna keep, I think we wanna help as much as we can, so.
Right.
Any other questions for Dean? Do I hear a motion then?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve Carolina Properties' request for an additional livery boat permit.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then that motion is approved unanimously. Thank you, Dean.
Thanks, Dave.
We will move on to item number 2. You might as well just keep your place up there, Dean,
Turn your
which is
timer on.
dredging, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. As you all have heard that, last year, we applied for a grant through NCDEQ, and we were awarded, with our match, we were awarded $850,000 to spend last year. That is a one-year grant, a calendar year. beginning on, January 1 and ending December 31. Well, this year we have reapplied and we asked for $1 million. So our match was 250 and they gave us 750 for that this year, which has to be spent by the end of December. Us being good stewards of the money and being able to spend what we asked for helps us be a good steward to get grants again in the future. We've got a lot of work to do this year. We've got a lot of money that we've got to get spent, and I feel like with the contractor feels the same way that we will get this money spent. We would like to have, what we're basically asking for is some out of the ordinary permission to be able to dredge in the main channel anytime during the year. Now, June and July are probably not gonna be months that we're trying to dredge in the channel because of when we get too much wake, the dredge starts going up and down, and you know, the dredge has got a long arm, it goes under, it digs, and if the other boats are picking the dredge up and down from the wake, what it does is it hurts the dredge. It could break the cutter head on the dredge. So what we're asking for is just permission to be able to dredge at will this year in the main channel of the lake, not in the river, not in the bays or tight areas. And if we are dredging during the summer or shoulder seasons or whatever, we will cordon off the dredge area with large buoys so that people can clearly see that that dredge is operating and they can't get too close to it. And that way we can keep operations, so we can try to make sure we spend this $1 million in the lake bed this year.
But there still will be access from the lake to the marina, let's
Oh,
say.
yes,
Okay.
yes. We'll never close off the access for the boats coming in. If you, and all of you have seen the silt shelf and stuff out there, it's all on the mayor's side. You know, there's some all the way across, but that's the deep side. If we go out there, I went out there, actually had my personal boat this weekend and went out there just checking things out and got over next to the dredge pipe, and there was 4 of us on the boat, not all as big as I am, but the prop was hitting bottom. So we've gotta get that cleaned out of there. And these tour boats, I've instructed Lake Lure Tours that when they're operating, that they need to always operate on the right side going out and coming in to stay in that deeper water, because those tour boats, they do sink down quite a bit.
They do,
Sure.
they do.
Dean, I've got a question, since we're on the topic of dredging. So how close are we to get access on the adjacent Firefly Cove property?
Mr. Morgan here has given me the easement,
Okay.
and I've sent that easement to Mark Hope.
Mm-hmm.
He sent back us some edits or things that he wanted changed. I sent them back to William. William made those edits and made the corrections, and now Mark Hope has them back in his possession, and I'm waiting for him to agree or not agree or
Okay,
amend or whatever he wants to do. So we're kind of guessing the second round of negotiations with, it's like 12 property owners there,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
So Mark is like the contact guy that can get to all of those. So he's the one kind of heading it up from their side.
all right, assuming that that goes well, and it's a 3-year, I think it was a 3-year agreement with a potential to extend it.
Yes.
So if we get that agreement, what are the preconditions, merging in where you want to dredge perhaps hydraulic, got the hydraulic plan. By the way, on the hydraulic plan, we probably want to update the dredge plan that's
Mhm.
posted on the website.
Right.
And Laura, perhaps I would recommend that once that plan gets updated, then we do a quick news snap that it has been updated, and then keep it on file so that people know what's going on. But assuming that we get that access adjacent to Firefly, how do you see that playing in at the end of the year of being able to use that with the excavation and the mining permit?
You've been helping me with the mining permit.
Yep.
With Mr. Houston.
Yes.
I'm still waiting on that, which is, I think it's just time consuming with the state. You know, we talked about the deep water launch, how long it's taken me to get the permits for it, which I've finally gotten the last permit for it, so it's ready to go. As soon as I get that permit for the modification of the mining permit, and then, the group with Mark Hoke and them, if they'll sign this agreement and we get that executed, we're good to go.
Okay.
We're just waiting on basically approvals from either one.
So I guess my question then is, if we get that approval, and say we're a couple months from getting that approval, this particular calendar year, which is where the money, the $1 million is,
Right.
then you would come back and revamp the plan in order to use some of that for excavation?
Yes,
Okay.
if the lake goes down.
Yeah, okay, right,
Yeah,
right, right.
Depending on what we do with the lake, if the lake goes down this next
Yeah,
fall, winter, whatever, then we'll have a period of time that we have to let it be down so that the lake bed decants the water away. But putting the entry in out there, you know, our contractor can have that entry, that lake bed
Yeah.
access within a few hours. I
Or
mean, it's very
even do some other excavation along the river or whatever. Once you have the mining
Yes.
permit, excavation will be allowed within the boundaries that you have the mining permit.
Yes,
and
sir.
we're off and running. However, here's why this whole line of thinking here. So
Mm-hmm.
if we don't get the mining permit and we're continue to be stalled, you're saying that we can still make good use of hydraulic dredging because you have, we have enough to do, certainly.
Yes.
But we're not gonna leave money on the table. It's either gonna be hydraulic, or as the time comes, a hybrid to move forward with the new access. Is that-
Absolutely.
Okay, okay.
But having the
Absolutely.
choice, would we move forward with the excavation?
I'm sorry?
If we had the choice, let's assume we got the mining permits, would we opt for the excavation?
Hydraulic is cheaper in the long run for what we need to do. Excavation is good for when the lake's down, but excavation, when you excavate, you have to take everything that's there, and you have to put it in a dump truck, then you have to just haul it off, so it's all dead money. When we hydraulically dredge, the contractor can recover a lot of that material through washing it, and then haul it off to market, that we don't get charged to haul it off.
So is there any time limit on the mining permits?
The mining permit, we pay a fee each year, and it just keeps renewing
so it
as
keeps
long as we
renewing.
pay our fee each year. But all we've done was we went in and we were modifying the permit a little bit.
Okay.
And once we get that permit, it's a big change now, but once you go through the wickets to
Yes.
get it, the renewal process is much
Right.
easier.
It's, the renewal process is sending a check
Yeah.
each year.
Because I think we all know ultimately, those problems are not gonna be solved by hydraulic dredging.
Right.
We're gonna have to excavate, so as soon as we can implement that.
Right, and see, this was kind of a shock for me. I've been doing the dredging here since '08, and used to, we operated, or we could hydraulically dredge under a GP 30 permit. Well, it's funny that the more agencies that learn about what we're doing, they're like, well, we need in on that. Well, wait a minute, you're moving that material twice? No, we need in on it. So that brought up the mining permit. Well, then it took away us operating under a GP 30, and then after reading through the permit that was issued, it only allowed for hydraulic excavation. We're like, well, wait a minute, we've been excavating here forever.
Yeah.
So now we're going back and just correcting, and, and I think most of it's clerical, and I guess that's one reason why I get so frustrated with why it's taking so long. But I'm working on it as quick as we can, and, I'll be probably the happiest one in the room when that renewal
it
comes.
I'm not sure about that, but I'll give you a second.
So since we're talking about that, is the boom up?
Boom is up.
Okay. I was gonna ride back there and I didn't, so I just thought I'd ask.
The weather and stuff, we didn't feel like this weather that was coming in deserved the boom.
Right.
However, with the lake being down, all winter, a lot of debris and stuff gets piled on the lake beds, and as that lake starts filling up, it starts picking up abnormal stuff. So yes, I did have the boom deployed Monday morning.
Great.
And Dean, that anchor system with the boom has proven to hold tight, right?
Yes.
They do.
Right,
So far, so good.
That's for everyone's information, that we don't expect that boom to be breaking anytime
Yeah.
soon.
Do you ever think that putting one in Pool Creek would be a good idea? It's an investment, but we've had some stuff come down that tributary. that-
Yes, I've seen a lot of stuff come
Yeah.
down that tributary. It
Mhm.
would be advantageous to have one.
Mhm.
They're pretty expensive. It'd be something that I could look at and kind of get a cost measure to.
It would definitely fall into an appropriations
Yeah.
approval kind of category. Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Dean on this? Do I hear a recommendation then?
Recommend to approve the request, for, give Dean all the dredging he needs.
All right, so to speak, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and unanimously we approve it. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Dean.
Again, let's make sure we get it posted.
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah, because people
And-
come around
Yeah,
that
we might
corner and
wanna
be
put
like,
that in the,
what
that
is
the
this?
boom is
Yeah.
up again.
And I
on
made
the
an
website.
assumption too, that to the point about, lake traffic, it's probably during the week, during the slow days when that happens, you know.
Sure.
So that way, when people are out on the park on Saturday afternoon, they're enjoying some quiet time, so.
Okay, thank you, Dean. We will now move to item number 3, which is a request from Lake Lure Rowing Club.
Don't,
And this one I will gladly
Yes,
hand over to Mr. Osborne. Do you want me to come up?
please. And just for the record, if you'll just state your name.
Sure. Wade Opliger with Lake Lure Rowing. So now neighbors over in Back Cave, so.
There you go.
We submitted a proposal, along with a note kind of updating you on what our status was as a club to reintroduce ourselves. But we would like to get a movable dock built and launched on the lake. And we're open to discussions about where that would be. Our presumptions are that it would be in proximity to where our trailer is currently kept. The reason for it is that we actually started a couple of years ago, but we've been water launching, which is basically a process of wading in, setting the boat down, and then everybody hops in the boat and goes, which is fine. But with the repairs on the ramp, the new riprap is actually up where it's supposed to be doing its job, but it's dangerous and for the shells are carbon fiber and fiberglass. I guess any boat that has that wanders. I think I worry about the Sunday morning folks because I imagine a few may come ashore a little hard, but we now probably will be a lot safer to be on using a dock. And the challenge of there's tons of docks around, but because of the height of the rowing shells and their instability, a dock that's any higher than 6 inches off the ground basically is a formula for flipping in the water and not getting off. So we want to get one built. We found out yesterday. I was talking with Commissioner Dioro, and he said we need to get in permitting information, which we sent to Mike this morning with sort of schematic sketches on what we're doing there. But basically, and there was an amendment. We originally wrote, I think, 8 foot by 32. We feel like for stability, we need to go to 12 foot wide. And that has a lot to do with where we're anchoring. So if we're parallel to shore, the 8 foot probably would be adequate because you'd have stakes. If we go off the end, which is kind of my preferred mode at this point, I would really like to go straight off the point behind the town boathouse, parallel to the shore. So we would just be anchoring the one edge. We'd build the ramp, and the ramp will be determined by the location, but we'll make sure that's safe and sturdy as well. But the idea would be give us safe access to the water. And as we go forward and work with new rowers, but hopefully a youth program, and then having people come for retreats and camps and things here too will facilitate a lot of that. And again, it would also be available for use for any, if teams came in from colleges or high schools or whatever and wanted to launch on this side of the lake. So it'd be another access point for things that go on there. But that's what we're needing. We think it would be helpful for us anyway.
Okay.
So.
Any questions?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, if I would, a couple of issues here. I think my initial thought is before we approve anything, we're gonna have to make sure the permitting and the structurally sound and all that. But I think it may be worthwhile to have a dialogue here at the Marine Commission, just to talk through what you would need in order to complete this deal. So I think what you're asking us to do is not only build a dock, but you really are looking for a relationship with the town to put it somewhere so that you could do your shell operations from
Right.
that. My initial thought is to get that done, you're gonna have to sign an agreement with the town, so we're gonna have to take a look at it. And it may, depending on what that looks like, and I think Dean would be a great place to start to guide you, would be, how many years are you looking at? Which property are you it could shift, but which property are you initially identifying that you'd like to put that in? Does it meet, if we put the dock there, built to the standard that is permitted, does it fit and meet all the zoning requirements for that town parcel that you'd hook it up to? And that agreement is your top cover to say, for so many years, you could operate there.
Right.
And would be good to go.
Right.
So that's the follow-up work that I think that you would need, in order to, before you went ahead, in order to say, this is how we're gonna do
Okay.
that. So I put that out to the board for discussion.
Yeah, thanks, and I'll address, and I guess I'm planning to speak later at the town council meeting and redress, and God bless Dean. He's spent 3 years of hearing the exact same conversation from me at this point. So we've got a lot of that done. What I guess we're looking for is how to finally get all the touch points ready. We're at the location where we've been operating behind the ABC store, because that's where we were suggested to go by the sitting mayor 3 years ago when we arrived. It works out fine, it seems to be good, but we know there's some kind of conversations about potentially that becoming or doing something else. The logic at the time, just so you know, was that there's already town boat operations there. Ultimately, expansion of that building to build a water facility, right, that would include access for a rowing club, made logical sense that was Mayor Cooley. And so that's really where the conversation began. We proceeded through that with, first to the town manager, who then referred us to Dean. So Dean's been through this. So that's where we'd like to get the commission agreement. We'd like really long-term. In fact, that was one of our initial requests, is that we would like long-term rights to operate rowing operations for the town of Lake Lure. A couple of things that come with that are you get some standards established, much like we're trying to do on the LAB, I think, for boats, is if everybody owns their own sculling boat and just sculls all over the lake, which there are owners that have their boats to do that are more than welcome to do, but they're operating under whatever guidelines they want to establish. The rowing club will have proper egress, entries to each of the channels. There's etiquette out there that's involved and things like that. So that's one thing, is we'd be able to standardize that. The other thing is we become a front for connection to the rowing, additional connection to the rowing world. Rumbling Bald, I know has had a long-term arrangements with people, but we've got people that are in touch with us now who might come, so we could help orchestrate that and funnel them either, they want to go to Rumbling Bald or into town and to come in and row here. We actually already had inquiries last fall about some teams coming down through the winter to train. Unfortunately, they didn't talk to me. They talked to somebody else on the team who didn't know all the details of the lake being down, and basically said, yeah, not this year. But as University of Michigan illustrated, they had a really nice week of practice here. So we can do all that. But that's what we'd like to do, is get this all together, which comes back to having an address. And we realize the address could change. We just need a place to call home, so the documentation for the town is sufficient. It's in that sense. So we were operating previously on the concession agreement that we had written up, with the address being the Memorial Highway address behind the ABC store. So, but again,
So
we're
the
open.
rowing club would own this dock,
Yes,
and the rowing club would pay for this dock.
correct.
And we would do a concession agreement type situation, right?
Yeah.
You just need to figure out where. Is that right,
Yeah.
Dean?
Yeah, and we.
I mean, are we kind of down to figuring out where?
Sorry.
Yeah, I think there's a couple parts to that. I think there's a near-term where,
Yeah.
there may be
Well, and that's,
it may
you're right.
be-
Something may change over here and we need to move it.
Yeah.
right.
But
And that's the movable part. And the other part, I'm sorry, we didn't bring up yesterday is, we have been rowing out of Camp Lure Crest for the last couple of months. And, if we had a movable dock, we could take that around with us to use it for our deep water access during the time when the town's down, the town has the lake down.
There was also talk with you and George Whitmer about possibly running his operations out of Pool Creek
Mhm.
and having a little place over there right next to the creek that they could sit in right there in the water and come down.
Right.
So that was another option
Yep.
that you guys had talked about at one time also.
Yeah, and we sort of held off on that kind of based on follow-up conversations on what might be happening or that, we're really wide open. We just feel like that the asset of having the rowing club for the town is a really good fit. Obviously, we like to row, but, we know already, in fact, we've got people that are selling a home in Sarasota right now who called the other day out looking for a realtor to buy a house in Lake Lure because we have a rowing program. So we're hopeful that can bring some people permanently as well as visitors.
So
And
then,
we did build a dock like this, by the way, just from a
Yeah.
engineering standpoint. There's one down in Lake Julian in Asheville that we built, exactly the same
Same thing?
specifications.
so I think, then just to be clear, so we're not crossing signals, I think we wanna permit the design of the dock. We wanna permit that.
Yep.
And go through normal permitting, even though we don't know exactly where it's gonna go.
Right.
Step one is to get that permitted.
Okay,
Step two is to develop an agreement with a certain periodicity of where we're at least initially gonna put it.
okay,
And that fits where we're gonna put it in accordance with everybody else that puts a dock up for zoning requirements. And there's some latitude in that. And then probably some language in there that says if we need to move it, then by mutual agreement, we can do that.
right,
So there's an exit clause off of that
Okay.
agreement to reset it for a different place if we need to. And I think what you're looking for today is consensus on the board to get that done,
okay.
and then we can move forward.
Yeah, and so we can kind of move, and then I guess,
Yeah.
and to be clear, so I understand, once we'd have the agreement for the location, does that then constitute an address that could be used to formalize a concession agreement with Lake?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, and again, so, yeah.
I mean, right now, we're operating off a handshake.
At the
Really,
moment, yeah.
Kinda.
And
I
so
was just
that's
sitting there
never a
thinking-
good place to be, right?
No.
There's always a chance of miscommunication, and I think we value what you do, Wade. I think,
Thanks.
my sense from the community is, they like to see you guys out there. It's kind of a neat thing to have that fits with the harmony of Lake Lure. There's always, whenever you have an event, I would ask you, there's always the potential of mutual interference, especially on busy weekends that you work through us. Maybe that could be identified in the agreement.
Yep.
So my feeling, and I'll pass it to the board, is that, I think that's probably a good plan.
Yeah, I like it.
Great.
I think it's great.
Yeah, and one of the things that came on early in, because you and I had met before, from a business perspective, is it's usually early day, maybe time constraints, just like we have the no wake time periods. And because it's a movable dock, Lure Crest is a commercial lakefront property, and, we do require concessionaires to own that on commercial property, not residential. So, if it is movable and Lure Crest being commercial front, it still fits within the model and within the constraints of, the law as we, apply them to everybody else too.
Yep.
So for that deep water launch in the winter, as an example.
Yep.
So,
Agreed.
Anything else from anybody?
Good.
I don't think we need a vote. We have
We have consensus that you should
Okay.
move forward with it then.
Mhm.
Great.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks, Wade.
yay.
It's good. Yeah, I think it's cool. I'm not gonna do it.
And that completes all the items on our agenda today, and so do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we adjourn the Lakeland Marine Commission Tuesday, March 8th.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. We will open our regular town council meeting at 5 o'clock.
Wow, 25